When it comes to adding an s, there are certain differences between some verbs. A verb like walk will have a simple s. What about eat? He eats an apple every day. I want to add an s, I will just add it. What about a verb like wash? I want to say he washes his face in the morning, but how do I write it? How do you write it here? You need to add an es. What about a verb like go? He goes. What did I add? I added es. Why is that? Because verbs ending in ss or sh, ch, x, o, and z, they take es. I cannot use a verb ending in a double s and then add a third s. It will be a mess. That's why we created this rule. Any verb ending in one of these 6 verb endings will take es, because if it doesn't take an es, it will be a mess. If you try it yourself, you will find it does not fit. Now, what about a verb like cry? I want to say the baby cries. The baby cries when he's hungry. How do I say it? The baby cries when he's hungry. What happened here? I have a verb ending in y, and as you see, it's a consonant plus y. What's the meaning of consonant? Any letter that is not a vowel. So, the baby cries. What about this verb? Fry. The chef fries chicken for us every day. What happened here? Who can tell? How did this change into this? I did not just stick an S to it. No, this is wrong. I crossed the Y. I don't need it anymore. And I put IES instead. So if you have a verb ending in a consonant plus Y, you cross the Y and add IES. Cry, you cross the Y and add IES. John cries when he's hurt. Dry, the same. Do I have a consonant? Let's see. I have a consonant plus Y. What do I do? What do I do? I cross the Y and add IES. He dries his hands with a towel. Perfect. So let's remember the rule again. Consonant plus Y. I cross the Y and add IES. Super easy. Just need to remember that if you have a consonant before the Y, you're going to cross the Y and add IES. Molly, study. Molly studies. That's how you write it. What if I have a vowel plus Y? I have a vowel plus Y. Let's take an example. Play. This verb ends in Y, but before the Y I have an A, which is a vowel. You know vowels? A, E, I, O, U. The 5 letters, these are the vowels in the English language. What am I going to do here? I'm not going to cross the Y. I'm just going to add an S. Simply and easily. He plays with his friends every day. So, when I find a verb ending in Y, I will just take a look at the letter before the Y. If it's a consonant, like fry and cry, I will cross the Y and add IES. If it's a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, any letter from these 5, I will put it as it is and add an S. Plays. We said we have S, we have ES, and we have IES. Let's revise together how we add them. When do we add S? The first case we add S is when we have a regular verb, a normal verb. He works. Any verb not ending in Y or any of the endings that need ES, it takes S. He works. She learns. The dog eats. If we have a verb ending in Y, and before the Y we have a vowel, it also takes S. Simple as that. Play becomes plays. Enjoys, it takes an S. Because the letter Y has an O before it. An O is a vowel, so we add S to the verb. Enjoy becomes enjoys. What about adding ES? Goes. Go becomes goes with ES because the verb ends in an O. What about here? The verb ending is CH. This is one of the endings that need ES, so we added ES. Watch, watches. SS, SH, CH, X, O, and Z. Simple and easy. What about adding IES? This happens when I have a verb like study, a verb ending in Y, and before the Y I have a consonant. Study becomes studies. I cross the Y and add IES. So here are the vowels, and here are the consonants. Simple? Let's try to have some examples, some practice, adding S to the verbs, using he, she, or it. We're going to use the same boy in the video that we saw before. Let's call him Sam, and now we're going to talk about him. Sam wakes up. Sam has breakfast every day. What does he do next? Sam brushes his teeth. Excellent class. What does he do next in his daily routine? Sam washes his face. I get dressed. I'm going to change it and make it Sam gets dressed. You see? What does he do next? He goes to school. And so on. Now let's move on to something else. What about the negative form? What if I have a sentence in the present simple and I want to make it negative? I want to change it into negative. I want to say that this does not happen. So I already told you the answer. Who can tell me how you can change a sentence into negative? I walk to the club. What am I going to add to this sentence to make it negative? Exactly. I'm going to use don't or doesn't plus the verb in the infinitive. So if I have a sentence and I want to make it, want to create a sentence, I'm going to use the subject plus don't or doesn't plus verb in the infinitive. That's all. Let's see how to do it. First, we have don't and doesn't. When do we use don't and when do we use doesn't? Who can guess? Who can guess? Who has the S? Which one am I going to use for he, she, and it? It's obvious because don't doesn't have an S and doesn't has an S. So I'm going to use don't with I, you, we, and they. And I'm going to use doesn't with he, she, and it. Let's try to answer some examples to better understand the rule that we already mentioned. I want to use don't or doesn't. I use don't with I, you, we, and they because They don't need an S. So I use don't. Which one has an S? Let me see. Don't or doesn't. Which one has an S? Don't. Does it have an S? No. It's the verb do plus not. Do not. And it's shortened to be don't. What about doesn't? Does it have an S? Yes. It is the verb does plus not. Does already has an ES because it ends with O. So now you understand does and doesn't. Which one can go for I, you, we, and they? And which one can go with he, she, and it? Of course, the one with the ES should be for he and she and it. But while the one with the base verb or the main verb without an S in the infinitive plus not goes for I, you, we, and them. So let's try to answer these examples. He walks to school. I want to change it into negative. I want to say that this does not happen. He walks to school. I'm going to say he doesn't walk to school. You see what happens here? Who can tell me the difference between this sentence and the other sentence? Here the S is beside the verb, while here the S went with the doesn't. He doesn't walk, the verb in the infinitive. He doesn't walk to school. I go to the club on Sundays. This is I. Am I going to use don't or doesn't? Of course, I'm going to use don't because I doesn't need any S with it. I don't go to the club on Sundays. Easy? Easy. So now we can form a rule. Create the rule together. He, she, and it. They have doesn't plus the infinitive. While I, you, we, and they take don't plus the infinitive. Let's try to make this bold, and this bold, and this red, and we have our rule for the negative tense, the negative form of the present simple tense. Easy? Perfect. Let's take this example and try to answer it. Ron goes to the club. I want to change this sentence into negative. I want to say that this does not happen. So I'm going to say Ron doesn't go to the club. Oh my God, where did the S go? Doesn't is always hungry and it eats the S. So whenever I have doesn't in a sentence, it's going to eat the S from the verb right after it. Ron doesn't go to the club. I cannot say doesn't and then add S to the verb. It will not sound right. Ron doesn't go to the club. How is this sentence formed? Ron, this is the subject, doesn't, plus the verb in the infinitive. Let's take another example. They like chocolate cake. So I want to say they don't. This does not happen. I want to change it into negative. I'm going to look at the subject. Is it he, she, and it? No, it's they. So I'm going to use don't. They don't like chocolate cake. The verb is the same. They don't like chocolate cake. So for I, you, we, and they, I say don't plus the infinitive. And for he, she, and it, I say doesn't plus the infinitive. What about the S? It goes away. Doesn't is always hungry and it eats the S and hides it here in its stomach. Doesn't. See the S? Here it is. I don't need to have S here. it will be a mess. Easy. Ron doesn't go to the club. What about the question form in the present simple tense? I want to create a question. I want to ask you about something that is true, something I want to talk about in the present simple but in a question form. What do I use? For yes or no questions, meaning the answer has yes or no in it. This is the answer. No, I don't like cookies. What could the question be? What could the question be if I have no or yes in the answer? No, I don't like cookies. So the question should be, do you like cookies? Did you notice this? I used do at the beginning of the sentence. Do. Because the subject here is you. What about this? Yes, he goes to SIS. I have a subject here. It's he. And I have yes or no. This means the question will start with does. Does he go to SIS? Why did I use does? Because it comes with he, she, and it. So the rule goes like that. If I have a yes or no question, I have yes or no in the answer, I will use do or doesn't. Do or does. So the rule goes like this. If I have yes or no in the answer, I'm going to use do or does in the question. Do for I, you, we, and they, and does for he, she, and it, because it has an S. This is for the questions for answers starting with no and yes. They are called yes or no questions. What if the answer doesn't have yes or no? What if the answer is a proper sentence, a simple sentence? Let's see. I play volleyball. Can I ask and say, do you play volleyball? No, because the answer does not have yes or no. I'm going to need to use something else. I'm going to need to use something else, which is called the question words, WH question words. What do you play? Sometimes you're going to have something underlined here. The question will have this underlined and it will tell you form a question. So you're going to say, what do you play? I play volleyball. This is the thing I'm asking about. Can I say do or does here? No, because the answer doesn't have yes or no. Let's take another example. Anne goes to the club at the weekend. Anne goes to the club at the weekend. I'm going to use do or does? No, because I don't have yes or no. Do and does are to form a question for yes and no only. What about this? Anne goes to the club at the weekend. I can ask about this or this. Or if I have one of them underlined, I will have to ask about it. Where does Anne go at the weekend? So you see the question here. It has a question word. It does not have do or does. Where does? I took does and put it with a question word. Where does Anne go at the weekend? I can also ask, where does Anne go, or when does Anne go to the club? So you see how it works. What could the question be here? Steve likes the green shirt. Which shirt does Steve like? What did I do here? I used a question word. I used which. This is a question word. This is a question word. What is a question word? If I say the answer is yes, Steve likes the green shirt. So I can say that, does Steve like the green shirt? I can ask it like that. But if I don't have yes or no, I cannot use do or does at the beginning of the question. I need a question word like which. Now, let's take a look at some keywords. Keywords are not a must in the sentence. We're grown-ups now and we can understand the meaning of the sentence and decide the tense without needing any keywords. But sometimes in the sentence you're going to find some keywords to help you. Maybe a sentence will have a keyword and this will help you make sure it's present simple. What if it doesn't have a keyword? You will still know it's present simple from the meaning of the sentence. Is it true? Does it happen often? Is it a simple truth like a state or a fact? Or is it a daily routine or a schedule? All of these things, when you know the meaning of the sentence, you will know they are present simple. But some keywords you have them in your book and you have them here. We're going to know them to help us out. Sometimes we're going to find them in a sentence and sometimes not. If I find the word every in a sentence, every day, every year, every month, every week, every evening, every morning, all of these are key words for present simple. It means something happens as a habit. When I say every, it means it's a habit. Daily, also it means every day. If something happens daily, it means it's part of my daily routine. I go to school daily. I don't go to school daily. Do you go to school daily? All of these sentences, questions, and negative form, all of these are in the present simple. This, if you find this or those, these are keywords for the present simple. Regularly, this is also a keyword. All of the time when I'm explaining, I'm telling you, present simple is sometimes something that happens regularly or something that is simply true. So when you see the word regularly, this sentence is the present simple. You have the word normally, the same. I normally go to school by bus, but sometimes I go by car. All of these are present simple tense. If you have on plus day, on Mondays, on Sunday, I have tennis practice on Sunday. This is present simple. You have something called adverbs of frequency. All of them are keywords for the present simple. What are adverbs of frequency? Always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, seldom, scarcely, and never. All of these are adverbs of frequency. Whenever I see one of these in a sentence, it's present simple. I sometimes go to school by bus. I often call my friends. I usually have breakfast at home. I scarcely go to school by car, meaning almost never. I scarcely. Scarcely means rarely, seldom, something that happens but not often and not frequently. It happens rarely. Never means it never happens, but it's a key word and it's one of the adverbs of frequency. This is all there is to know about the present simple for now, and this is the end of our lesson. How did you find the lesson? Did you find it easy? I hope so. If you didn't find it easy, you can come back and repeat the video again. If you have any questions, write them down and come back at school to ask your teacher. How about some practice? I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, whatever you choose, and try to write 4 sentences for your teacher about anything you like, about a fact, about your daily routine, about things that are true, states, about your schedules, whatever you like. I want 4 sentences in the present simple tense. Choose whatever subject you like or any random sentences, just to practice writing and speaking in the present simple tense. This will make you more super and you can show it to your teacher next lesson. Good luck, Junior 4. Thank you for watching. I love you all. See you next time.